So 2 weeks left until the exam, and I've had some requests to go through section C, so the argument analysis. So there's a couple of things that I found concerning when I was making practice exams, and they were that students tended to focus so much on identifying language techniques. It's like, here's a rhetorical question, and oh my God, they use the word we. That must mean it's inclusive. Yeah, it is, and it does, and great, well done for identifying it, but that's not what you need to do. What you need to do is analyze argument. So I'm going to go through a few things in terms of how to structure your response, what to include in your response, and how to include that meta language, which is those persuasive techniques without sounding like it's a list and that you're defining them. So I'm going to try and be really quick. It is going to be a bit of a longer video, so just bear with me. And if you have any questions at the end, just write me a comment and I'll try and get back to you. So the first thing that you need to do is read the background information, which is so important because that identifies the context. Why has this piece been written? Okay, what is it about? So you'll get that information, which will tell you why it's been written, who has written it, and who is it for. So there you have your key ideas of context, audience, purpose, okay, and the form as well. So for some of you did the VCE exam for your trial, the context was that the council had given money funding for the Arts Society to build a new art centre. The person who was speaking was Ayla Adamu, who was the president of the Art Society, and she was condemning critics of the council who were providing the funding because they were saying, no, let's spend it on something else. And so very much that was the case. And that was all written in the background information. So essentially, there's your introduction. So when you write your introduction, what you need to make sure that you do are 3 key things, nothing more, because that's all you need. First sentence, context. What is it? Why is it an issue? It's going to be a very broad context because everybody in the state is going to be reading it and analysing it. So it has to be accessible for everybody. Your second sentence should be, who is the author? What is their vested interest? So why would they write it? Who are they? You know, what's their credentials and what's their contention? Okay, so it's a speech. Their credentials were that they were a former street artist, that they are also president of the Coleman Art Society. So that was the idea there. And the contention was that, you know, the funding should allow for more arts facilities to be provided. The other thing was the intention, okay? The audience that she was aiming this towards was towards the Coleman community who were sort of disagreeing with it. So she wanted them to support the actual funding that was happening. So those are the 3 things that you need. So you need context, contention and author, and form, and then you also need your audience, so your specific audience, and that's mentioned in the background information, and then the intention. What does she want to achieve? What did they want to see the outcome? That's it, nothing more. Not a list of rhetorical questions, not, oh, it comes along with 2 images. We don't need that, okay? It's not necessary because the images are going to be included within your analysis. Now, moving on from that, you need to then structure your paragraphs around the way that the actual arguments have been constructed. So what we're looking for is you being able to go, this is the opening. And in the opening of this particular text, the author is arguing this point. Okay, so it's the argument. What are they saying? What is the point that they're trying to argue? Okay, and for the case of this one that we read for the first trial exam for Coleman Art Society, it was a case of saying that the council has courage for supporting the arts, whereas those people who are not supporting it, they should be sort of ashamed of themselves that they want the money to go to things like tree pruning or recycle bins, okay? And she says that in a very sarcastic tone. So your topic sentence for that would have to be, it opens in this way, okay? So it opens in a very condescending and outraged tone, and then you would note as well, what is that main argument, okay? So what is the main point within that section that you're analysing? After that, you do what, how, why. You may have heard a teacher say this, and it's not a case of they use a rhetorical question. The rhetorical question makes you question, and that then makes the reader feel like they're questioning and need an answer. No. What you need to do is say, what is being argued? Okay, so this is the argument, this is what is being said to support that argument. How is it being done? Through the language choices. So choose particular words that come from the text. What words stand out? What words have some sort of connotation? Yes, there could be rhetorical questions, but the way that you embed it has to be subtle. So don't say the writer uses a rhetorical question when they say, and then write the whole quote. It's not like the writer questions why they are not going to support the facility when it actually is going to nurture and educate and provide knowledge in the minds of the community. That's what you need to do. So try and be subtle with your integration of persuasive techniques. The other thing is the why bit. That's your audience bit. And that needs to be integrated in your discussion as well. So what is the impact on the audience? What outcome do they want to achieve? It's not that it wants to make the reader read on. It's not that it wants to catch the eye of the reader. It's not the fact that it wants to stick in the reader's head. Well, I hope this sticks in your head because that's not what we want to see. What we want to see is a little bit of zest. So you need to say, who is the audience? Who are the stakeholders? Who is she aiming this towards, or he or they? Who are they aiming it towards? Is it the community? Is it other artists? Is it families? Is it parents? Is it educators and teachers? Is it the council? Who is it that they are trying to get on their side? And what is the outcome? What values are they appealing to in terms of who the audience is and what they're trying to say? Well, if she's trying to say to them that they should be ashamed of themselves for not wanting to support such a facility, that is going to benefit all of the community. Then you move on to the next argument. So that's the body. Okay, so you're moving on to the body, saying what's the next argument, and then again, what, how, why, what, how, why. And then finally, when you close off your analysis, that's the closing. You're analysing the closing. How does the article close? How does she come to her conclusion? And how does she assert her final outcome? Okay, her final intention. What does she want to achieve? And that is your conclusion too. Use conclusive language to close off the actual analysis. You don't need to summarise the arguments. You definitely do not need to summarize the techniques that have been used. What you do need to do is just analyze how the actual piece is closing. So again, it closes in this way. This is the main point in the closing. This is a strategy that has been used. It could be a call to action or a solution, and then use that conclusive language. So ultimately, overall, essentially, those are the sort of words you're using to conclude. So definitely think about that when you're writing your analysis. If you want a detailed way of how to write your analysis, go to ronniesramblings.com. I've written a blog about how to approach this, and I have a detailed example of how to write your introduction, how to write a paragraph, and your what, how, why statements if you need any help. So let me know if you have any questions. I know it's a really long clip, a really long reel, but you know, there's a lot to be said. I could go on for longer because I like to ramble, but go to the blog, ask me questions if you have any. Happy to help. Hope this helps. Good luck. Keep a zesty.